let's just give a round of applause for this amazing series, because this is actually one of the best shows I think I've watched in my entire life. We're reviewing the new Spider-Noir, which is a 2026 series with 8 episodes, and I will try not to spoil everything. I'll give you a bit of context and stuff like that along the way, but first and foremost, I done a quick reaction to this series, and I'm not joking when I say this, that it absolutely wipes the floor with Disney, Marvel, and a lot of the Disney sort of shows we've had recently, where just absolutely drops the ball, throws it away after a few episodes, never truly lives up to its full potential. But this, it goes from episode 1, episode 8, and just delivers an absolute masterclass of a show. And what you need to know about me is I am a pretty big fan of Nicolas Cage in these past few years, where love the movies he's done, where it's Con Air, The Rock, and the one where it's like that Australian surfer thriller, and I like that how he just dips his toes into these random movies and he ends up being so energetic, so interesting to watch, and so you could say in a way that him doing this series just fits so perfectly with how he was the voice of Spider-Noir and into the Spider-Verse and Beyond the Spider-Verse, the animated films that Sony done in 2018 and 2022 or 2023, I believe it was. And so what you do need to know about this show is that it is about this detective called Ben Reilly, and it's in the 1930s. You've got 8 40 minute or so, just about 40-minute episodes here of that storyline, and it unpacks the origins of Ben Reilly as Spider-Noir, the man behind the mask of Spider-Noir. It goes deep into that. You also get the villain side of it, you get the other character side of it, sprinkles in sort of a really traditional 1930s version of some villains from the Spider-Man universe and stuff like that. So it really does all of that, and let's just get into this and what I felt personally to begin with. That as soon as I turned on episode 1 and then rolled the credits on episode 8, I just couldn't stop thinking about how good this show was. There is just so much it does well, where as soon as you start watching it, you just know from the get-go they're building up the storyline. You actually already know loads about Spider-Noir, already know loads about Silvermane, which is the main villain of the show, played by Brendan Gleeson. It builds up so much world building, does so much groundwork, does so much real good work to give you the story, build it up, give you enough to chew on, enough to feed on, enough to keep you guessing until episode 2 starts to happen, episode 3 starts to roll around, etc, etc. It just does a lot of that stuff where as soon as you start watching it, you just know that these writers actually cared about what they were doing to the show. They built the story from the get-go, they've introduced all the things, it all fits, it all has a good structure to it. I also have to say that the opening song, I didn't skip it once, it is a really good opening song. The tone of it, it's catchy, the sort of editing choices they made with the black and white and how it flips over like a newspaper, like all of that stuff, these little mini details, just mwah, perfection. And also, please watch this in black and white. I know it gives you the option of the regular HD colour, but the black and white just gives it this sense of aura where you know it's in the 1930s, you know that Spider-Noir has black and white on his Spider-Man, mask and his hat and his suit, so it just feels naturally adapted into the story. So please do yourself a favour, watch it in black and white. Although the trailer that I did see leading up to the show premiering was the black and white and the original, just regular bright colour, but just watch it in black and white. It's the best version you'll ever get of the show. And so that is that. Love the world building, love the music. And so let's get into the acting side of it, because the acting in the show is immaculate, to be honest with you. Like, when Nicolas Cage is Ben Reilly, you know it's Ben Reilly, and then when he's Spider-Noir and he puts on the suit, you know it is Spider-Noir because he's got a slightly different voice. So I really like how Nicolas Cage is able to shapeshift from Ben Reilly into Spider-Noir, and it creates a scenario where it just has this authenticity to it, where you just know that it all feels different when he comes back from being Ben Reilly into Spider-Noir. So that is just absolute perfection in my opinion. Just love that aspect alone. Brendan Gleeson as Silvermane as well, just an absolute standout performance, where when he walks in the room, you just feel a sense of aura about him as well, and he has this commanding presence, this kind of drive to him, where when you watch him on the screen, you know there's something strange and sinister and chaotic about him. He's a villainous character. He shows that through and through thick and thin. He shows himself to be what he truly is, and I love that about it. I love that it unpacks the villain so much in the show. It isn't just a show where it's all about Spider-Noir. It actually dives deeper into the full meaning of Spider-Noir, the full meaning of Silvermane, even touches on aspects and elements of the other villains, as I mentioned. And I won't try to spoil too much here, but I will give you some vague sort of interpretation, in my opinion, of what it was like. That these villains do actually feel like the Sandman, Electro, and also Lizard. If you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about, with how these characters look and stuff like that, and even things like the cinematography in the show, where when you see the web slinging and the fighting, it never feels jarring, and it doesn't feel manufactured and sterilised behind a green screen. It actually feels like a well conducted fight scene, so refreshing compared to all the CGI we've been fed from Disney Marvel. So it was really nice to see that a showrunner, a writer and a director and a cast were able to create something where they cared so much about even the cinematography side of it, and a lot of the action moments when he is fighting, it's done so well, and there's a good structure to it, and the way it hits all the notes of the fight, and then the punch, it all feels like you can actually feel like it's going on properly, and you feel like everything's coming together properly. And I just love all of that about the cinematography, the acting, the directing. See, even the pacing as well. Sure, you could say, oh, it's only 40 minutes long, but see the execution and how it puts so much into these episodes without feeling like there's too much going on. Like, it feels like you actually get a time to breathe and invest in everything. It doesn't feel like they're trying to rush through the storyline. It's literally like one of those traditional shows where episode 1 actually feels really important to episode 7 and 8 and things like that, where it goes full circle, gives it its all, gives it a good go, does it in such a good, well executed way that everything feels right and feels like it's in the right place at the right time. And so if I was to give this a rating out of 10, there's no other rating I could give it. I would say from the bottom of my heart right now that it is a 10 out of 10 series. Just so much is done well here. There's no pacing issues, there's nothing wrong with the acting, and even the times where it is slowing itself down, it always finds that kind of cut through point where it will give you the action, it will dive deeper into the story, so you're always getting that guaranteed sort of situation when you watch it, where it's like, yeah, they are actually putting a good shift in and they're giving you everything you need for this show. And so yeah, the glazing of the show is over. I just absolutely love this, and if it would not feel right giving it a 9.5 out of 10. It's an immaculate show. There's not really a lot I can complain about, and so there is all of that. And honestly, I just want them to make a season 2, maybe explore one of the other villains from the Spider-Noir sort of storyline, and One of the things I did mention in my quick reaction was that it feels so authentic and unique, as you just don't see a lot of different Spider-Man stories in live action. Because obviously the main Peter Parker story, it's probably the easiest one to adapt because it's so accessible and familiar. But the fact that they've went out of their way, took a risk on a project where it is Spider-Noir, it isn't your typical, Peter Parker, he goes to school, his uncle passes away, how's he going to deal with that pressure and things? It doesn't do all of that. It tries something a little bit different, and honestly just appreciate it for that. So I just hope they try this more often, maybe take a chase on a risk and actually give us something different. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this review. I tried to be as thorough as possible. Try not to spoil too much, because I know it did actually. I think it came out at the tail end of last month, but I still don't want to spoil this, as it's really worth watching. It's really worth watching. I mean, there's so many other ways you can describe it. Just really worth watching, really well put together. So, hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, I might even try and put the thumbnail in black and white just to give it that good aesthetic and effect. So, see you after for more reviews on the channel. And yeah, bye. I'll be web slinging my way out here. Bye.